Hello everyone, and welcome back to our deep dive into the darkest corners of horror cinema. Today, we're revisiting a story that has haunted audiences for decades. A tale that forces us to ask just how far we would go for the ones we love. We're talking about the chilling events that follow the return of the Creed family's cat Church. This isn't just about a pet coming back. It's about a darkness that seeps into a family and tears it apart from the inside. So, let's set the scene. Louis Creed, a doctor who has just moved his family to rural Maine, is warned about the ancient burial ground hidden in the woods behind his new home. He's told, sometimes dead is better. But when the family cat, Church, is run over, Louis, desperate to spare his daughter Ellie the pain of loss, ignores the warning. He buries Church in the Micmac burial ground, a place with a rumored power to bring things back, and back it comes. But the Church that returns is not the same. It's sluggish, its eyes are vacant, and it carries a foul stench of the grave. This new Church is a shell of its former self, an unsettling omen of the unnatural forces at play. It's the first crack in the family's idyllic life, a sign that something has gone terribly wrong. The cat's return isn't a miracle. It's a curse in disguise, a shadow that now lingers over the Creed household. This sets the stage for a tragedy that is almost unbearable to watch. The family is having a picnic, trying to reclaim some sense of normalcy. Little Gage, their toddler, is flying a kite with his father, Louis. It's a picture-perfect moment, full of laughter and sunshine. But then the kite string slips from Gage's hand. He toddles into the road, chasing after it, his innocent laughter echoing in the air. At that exact moment, a massive semi-truck comes barreling down the highway. The sound of the horn, the screech of tires, the look of pure terror on his mother Rachel's face as she runs towards him, it all happens in a horrifying slow-motion sequence. Louis sprints, trying to reach his son, but it's too late. The idyllic family scene is shattered in an instant, replaced by a devastating silence and the unimaginable reality of a parent's worst nightmare. The kite flutters to the ground, a symbol of innocence lost forever. The aftermath is just as heartbreaking. The funeral for 2-year-old Gage is a somber, heavy affair. The air is thick with grief and unspoken tensions. Rachel's father, Erwin, who has always harbored a deep dislike for Louis, can't contain his resentment. He blames Louis for Gage's death, his quiet accusations turning into a loud, venomous tirade right there in the funeral home. He screams at Louis, calling him negligent, his words dripping with contempt. The raw, unfiltered grief explodes into violence. Louis, pushed to his breaking point, lunges at his father-in-law. The two men grapple with each other, knocking over the small white casket in the process. It's a shocking, chaotic scene of fistfight, erupting over a child's coffin. It shows just how completely the family has unraveled, their sorrow twisting into anger and blame. The sanctity of the moment is destroyed, replaced by a brutal display of a family tearing itself apart in its darkest hour. And this is where the story takes its most terrifying turn. Consumed by a grief so profound it borders on madness, Louis Creed makes a decision that will seal his family's fate. He can't accept that Gage is gone. The thought that first crept into his mind with church, the thought of cheating death now, returns with terrifying force. He remembers the burial ground. He remembers that things can come back. In the dead of night, driven by a desperate, irrational hope, Louis exhumes his son's body. He carries Gage's small form through the woods, past the Pet Sematary, and up the winding path to the forbidden ground beyond. He knows, on some level, that this is wrong. He knows the church that came back was not right, but his love for his son, warped by grief, overrides all logic, all warnings. He digs a grave in the sour earth and lays his son to rest, whispering promises that they will be a family again. He is not just burying his son. He is burying his sanity, his morality, and any chance of a future, all for one more chance to hold his child. This act isn't one of love, but of selfish desperation, and it unleashes a horror far worse than death itself. The thing that returns is not Gage. It's a demonic parody, an empty vessel animated by a malevolent force from the burial ground. One night, while Rachel is away, this creature, this thing wearing Gage's face, sneaks into the house. It finds its father's scalpel and, with a chilling, childlike giggle, makes its way to their neighbor Judge Crandall's house. Judge, the old man who first told Louis about the burial ground, is asleep in his bed. The Gage creature taunts him, its voice a twisted, high-pitched version of the real Gage's, before mercilessly killing him. When Rachel returns home, drawn back by a sense of dread, she is lured upstairs by the sound of her dead sister Zelda, a childhood trauma the entity somehow knows about. There, in the dark, she finds not her sister, but the monstrous version of her son, who greets her with the chilling line, "I brought you something, Mummy," before taking her life as well. It's a sequence of pure, unrelenting terror, showing the absolute evil that Louis has unleashed. The final confrontation is a descent into hell. Louis returns home to find a scene of unimaginable horror. He realizes the full extent of his mistake. He knows what he has to do. He prepares a syringe filled with a lethal dose of morphine, his medical knowledge now a tool to undo his monstrous creation. He confronts the Gage creature, and a brutal, chaotic fight ensues. It's a father fighting the reanimated corpse of his son, a battle against his own grief and folly. Louis is stabbed, bitten, and thrown around the room by the creature's unnatural strength. But in the end, he manages to inject the entity with the morphine. As the creature convulses and finally dies, its face momentarily shifts back to the sweet, innocent face of his real son, Gage. A final, heartbreaking twist of the knife. Louis has killed his son for a second time. But even after all this horror, Louis's grief has not been purged. It has only mutated. He stands over Rachel's body, and the same insane thought that started this whole nightmare takes hold of him once again. He tells himself that because Rachel didn't wait as long in the ground as Gage did, this time it will be different. This time it will work. Ignoring the smoldering ruins of his life, he carries his wife's body out into the night, heading back to the burial ground one last time. It's the ultimate proof that he has learned nothing. He is trapped in a cycle of grief and denial, completely broken by the dark power he tried to control. He burns Jude's house down to cover his tracks, a final, desperate act to erase what he has done. But there is no erasing this. The story concludes with one of the most chilling final scenes in horror history. Louis is sitting at his kitchen table, playing solitaire, waiting. The back door creaks open. A figure shuffles in from the darkness. It's Rachel, or what's left of her. Her body is mangled, her face is disfigured, and one of her eyes is gone. She walks toward Louis, her voice a dry, raspy whisper. She places a cold, decaying hand on his shoulder and says, "Darling." Louis looks up, a slow, horrifying smile spreading across his face as she brings a knife to his throat, and the screen cuts to black. The cycle is complete. Louis, the man who tried to conquer death, is ultimately consumed by it, destroyed by the very love that drove him to madness. The sour ground has won. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey into the darkness of Pet Sematary. It's a powerful story that stays with you long after it's over. What did you think of Louis's decisions? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this analysis, please hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss our next video. Until next time, stay safe, and remember, sometimes dead is better.